I feel like singing this morning. I feel like singing. I don't know, just this morning I was listening to that Obrafour track from yesteryear. Addo, wumwadie. Then can I say answer na wati asiye Addo, when ninsadie, who born you by mistake. One wine. I don't know, I was just listening to that track this morning. I don't know, however you want to interpret it. But this morning I've titled my blunt thoughts, The Hubris of Niobe and the Punishment of the Gods, a reenactment in 2024. The Hubris of Niobe and the Punishment of the Gods, a reenactment in 2024. Well, welcome aboard my blunt thoughts, if we can just go ahead. This morning, I want to first of all share the word hubris and its meaning. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, it refers to 1, a way of talking or behaving that is too proud, or 2, an extreme and unreasonable feeling of pride and confidence in yourself. Note, proud and reasonable confidence. Now let me tell you the tragic story of Niobe, which is steeped in Greek mythology, and how her hubris, her pride, led to disaster for her. The tragic tale of Niobe is one of the most memorable Greek myths. I can pardon you if you've never read it. This myth was popular in ancient literature, poetry, and art. It is therefore not a surprise that the legend of Niobe appears in one of our oldest and best sources for Greek myths, the Iliad of Homer. Here's the story. Niobe's father was Tantalus, king of a town above Mount Sipylus in Anatolia. Niobe had 2 brothers, Proteus and Pelops, who would later be legendary heroes and would give his name to Peloponnese. Now, when Niobe grew up, she got married to Amphion, king of Thebes. This was a turning point in her life. Niobe and Amphion gave birth to 14 children. Yes, you heard me right, 7 sons and 7 daughters. At a ceremony held in honor of Leto, the mother of the divine twins, Apollo and Artemis, who were also living in Thebes, Niobe, in a fit of arrogance, bragged about her 14 children. In fact, Niobe said that she was superior to Leto, as she had 14 children, and not only Leto's 2, that is the twins. When the twins heard of this insult, they got enraged. And you know, in Greek mythology, we are talking about gods and all that. And at once they came down to earth to kill the children of Niobe. Apollo, the god of light and music, killed all 7 of Niobe's sons with his powerful arrows in front of their mother's very eyes. Although Niobe was pleading for Apollo to have mercy on her last surviving son, Apollo's lethal arrow had already left his bow to find its mark with deadly accuracy, thus wiping out all the male descendants of Niobe. But it didn't end there. Artemis, the virgin goddess of nature and hunting, killed Niobe's 7 daughters with her lethal arrows, and their dead bodies were lying unburied for 9 days. It reminds you of Job, sort of, only this is a different one. Devastated by the slaughter of his children, Amphion committed suicide. Some versions say that he too was killed by Apollo when he tried to avenge his children's deaths. And so it was that Niobe's entire family had been wiped out by the gods in just a brief moment because of hubris, aka unbridled pride or arrogance. Ghana, when I heard the running mate of the New Patriotic Party speak at his outdooring in Kumasi recently, I cringed, especially considering what Otumfuo had told him merely, 35, 40 minutes earlier? So I want to pause here, and there's another song I'll sing for you shortly. This is the running mate of the MPP. And at that outdooring, he had to say this. Since independence from 1957 till today, or to today, we've not had any president that has helped Ghana like Akufo-Addo. I say from 1957 till today, you can bring your Kwame Nkrumah, Samo Kwame Nkrumah, no, your Kwame Nkrumah. No president who has protected Ghana and moved the country forward like Akufo-Addo. You know that's Adanibe's song, right? Oya koja tabi ole, keda obana. You've gone for a lion's cub. When it grows, then you will see. Obana. You see, it's interesting. If we go to the next slide, let's do some juxtaposition. Nkrumah versus Akufo-Addo. And I'm not even being fair to Nkrumah because I've just listed a few, paltry few of what he has done. But he won for us independence. This alone, if Nkrumah had done nothing, this alone is more than any other leader possibly can do. In reality, won for us our independence. When some of these people talking, when their forebears were saying independence, you know, in the nearest possible time, Nkrumah was saying independence now. Who knows where we would have been? Yet today, some of them can utter, I'll swallow that word. He gave us the Akosombo Dam. And you know what's interesting? The energy minister, who is denigrating Nkrumah now. You know, just a few days ago, Parliament lost power. They went off the grid. They had to use their generators, and they were struggling for hours. Imagine him as energy minister without the Akosombo Dam. Just think about it. Yet, the man who gave us Akosombo is being belittled by a beneficiary of his work. He gave us the Tema Township, now a hub of industry. He gave us the Accra-Tema motorway, which we have left in a deplorable state. You saw that, those demonstrators, a short while ago. Yes, because after 60 years thereabouts, we are still benefiting from what he left us, and we've not added much. He gave us the Tema Harbour. Let's go to the next slide. The Adome Bridge, VALCO, the Atomic Energy Commission, Ghana Commercial Bank, Cocobod. I could go on and on. Is it the jute factories? Is it the tomato processing? Is it the meat processing up north? Is it the glass processing factory in Bosso? Like, can we even imagine this? But then let's go to the next slide. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I say it unrepentantly, me, even in this Fourth Republic. If you asked me about presidents who have done well in this Fourth Republic, though all of them have had their problems, me. And in no particular order, I wouldn't put Akufo-Addo over Akufo. I wouldn't put Akufo-Addo over Mills, though he lived, I mean, his tenure was so short. I would not put Akufo-Addo over Mahama. Maybe there may be some because of Rawlings and also his excesses, but even there. So to make this comparison is irksome, loathsome. But let's face the reality. And by the way, when I get into the next few slides, and I'll stay here for a while, when I'm talking about the achievements, mind you, these are achievements per what government says, what their tracker, performance tracker says, not necessarily what exactly is on the ground. Free SHS, with all its demons. Agenda 111, I don't know how many you can see yet. One constituency, one ambulance. You remember Freddie Blay. 1D, 1F. One village, one dam. Maybe you have a dam in your township or your village. Next slide. The Nation Builders Corps. A lot of them have been reaching out to me over many things, but at least it was done, right? And then planting for food and jobs. I heard someone, you know, in our news review today talking about the fact that, actually, I don't know what these people read, because if you look at the multidimensional poverty index, so many people have slidden into poverty. So many people are without food. In fact, they don't even understand, some of them, that food sufficiency and food security are not the same thing. But hey, next slide. So this is what, on some of these matters, government says, performance tracker. And of course, we've had some incidents of mistakes there. Agenda 111, they say 84 hospitals are under construction. One village, one dam, 137 completed. Ambulances, 307 procured since 2020. Next slide. 1D, 1F, 156 completed, the claim. Railways, rehabilitation of 126 kilometers, existing railway line. Interchanges, 12 completed. Next slide. And that is why Napo says Akufo-Addo is better than Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. In fact, he is unrepentant. He says, I said this and people are criticizing me. I said since the independence of Ghana in 1957, from Nkrumah's era to date, no government has done better than the Nana Addo Akufo-Addo government. In politics, Nana, if you speak the truth, they say you are arrogant. But if you tell lies, people will praise you. Next slide. K.T. Hammond, the one who called young people with beards coconut heads. Sometimes I laugh. He says the man may be confident, may be knowing what he's doing. I mean, you don't translate that into arrogance. I have heard one or two people talk about arrogance, but I think that is complete nonsense. Next slide. But before I get here, you see, denigrating Nkrumah, really? Your first speech. Interestingly, Kojo Oppong, a stalwart of the MPP who shocked his party members with his performance in their presidential primary, had this to say about the Osagefo when my own uncle, KSM, spoke to him sometime in March this year. And hold for me. This is what KSM asked. Is it the case that since independence we haven't had good leaders, selfless leaders? And Kojo Oppong of the MPP said this. Listen. I believe in Kwame Nkrumah, although I am UP. You see, they did a lot of propaganda, and looking at how Ghanaians are behaving now, our behavior today, we needed Nkrumah that time. Next slide. You can hang me. I still stand by what I'm saying. I've done my analysis and my studies, and he's a great man. No doubt about it. We have to emulate him. We have to think big and dream big like Nkrumah. We tend to give positions to myopic thinkers. Kojo Oppong couldn't have said it any better. Maybe Napo should have listened to that conversation before bursting forth with his ridiculous effusions. I mean, listen to what was said. You see, the Bible says something, and I'll quote two and end with something before I go to a final point. In Proverbs 16:8, New International Version, it says, pride goes before distraction, a haughty spirit before a fall. If you go to Proverbs 15:1, it says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. He who has ears, let him hear. Now, Ghana 4, as I wrap, we also see the same hubris, pride, arrogance in respect of the SNID deal. On what basis, I ask, exactly, did the NPRA decide the Brian Acheampong Rock City deal could go through? What? She said one businessman's interests supersede those of all pensioners. Brian is someone I interact with every now and then, but I will not hide my feelings. Know that in Kenya, after weeks of protests, President Ruto has sacked his entire cabinet. Many are even calling for he himself to leave office. Here, people demonstrate over a rotten sale that we can all see is skewed. Else, why would Brian Acheampong and the NPP be so bent, hell-bent on selling these state assets? And what do we get in return? Flagrant disrespect, open disregard, and brazen misleadership. What we are doing here in Ghana, wallahi, you will not see happen anywhere else in the civilized world. Nowhere. They get away with these things here because, guess what? We allow it. I'm honestly happy. The Ghana Federation of Labour General Secretary Abraham Kumsin and Angel Kabonu, the NAGRET Secretary, ahead of that meeting of organized labour to embark on a strike today, have expressed their aversion to this. Why? And yet someone will get up and say President Akufo-Addo has done far better than Nkrumah. I mean, you can lift your own president, your own leader, our president currently, without denigrating the Osagefo. It's such absolute absurdity. It shouldn't cross anyone's lips ever again. Did we see Nkrumah doing this with state assets? Did we? Like we are doing now with this SNID deal? And yes, my pension money is in that pot, so I have every right to express my frustrations and those of the millions of Ghanaians clearly troubled by this issue. Look, they denigrate Nkrumah. All the lies and propaganda fabricated by the Buzia regime to claim Nkrumah had stolen money and done this and done that came to nothing because the truth was eventually revealed. Today, we see the offspring, both biological and political, of those who spewed such vicious untruths about Nkrumah still doing their worst and stealing from us right, left, and center. They burnt Nkrumah's books and tried to bury him. They just didn't realize he was a seed. So as much as they tried, his reputation only germinated further and grew stronger. He just became more and more popular. Nkrumah was adjudged Africa's man of the millennium over the likes of Madiba, Nelson Mandela, and all other prominent Africans. Millennium or 1,000 years. And who is this person who may need lessons in history, who tries to denigrate this global titan? I've traveled across Africa, and you go to places and Ouagadougou has a whole major road named after Nkrumah. There's this saying that if you have nothing sensible to say, it's better to say nothing. Nkrumah lives on. Nkrumah never dies. And if some people want to keep talking about this, we can do to them what Kendrick Lamar did to Drake. As I end, I'd like to leave you with these final thoughts. As Frederick Douglass says, where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither persons nor property will be safe. A nation that fails to celebrate, and even worse, forgets its heroes, soon dies off. May God save us from such foolishness, now and always. Oh, did I hear an amen? He who has ears, let him hear. Today's church service is over. Go out there and spread the good news of my blunt thoughts. Thank you for watching.